Streaming. Edit. Public. Done. And save. Should be on number 1. Let me see, guys. Let me know if you can hear me and you can see me, and we can start. Not 100% sure everything's how it should be. Live chat. I can pop out chat. Okay, sounds like that's working. We are live here, public, everybody. Now I just need to see if people are here watching somehow. Let's see. Oh, looks like there's someone here. Okay. So, let me know if you guys see what you're supposed to be seeing and listening to me. But this is the first live stream. It's basically a Patreon live stream, but I'm doing it open, basically to explain what the idea is for this. Let's give it a couple minutes for people to get here. We've got 3 people at the moment, probably counting me. Let's see if more people come in. But the idea basically is I've had Patreon for a couple years, and I've always tried to give something to people on Patreon apart from just my videos and the news. But I never really knew what to do. And I basically decided I'm going to do a monthly Q&A for Patreons on the $5 and up. And I'm going to do a monthly artist or photo book or project live stream for Patreons that are $10 or up. And then the lower tier Patreons will have a Discord chat and so on. So the idea is that you won't only support the channel, keep on making content, but you'll get something out of it. So you have like a monthly Q&A with me. You have, you know, an artist thing. And the thing with artist videos and photo books is that you can't really show them on YouTube without maybe being penalized or not being able to monetize, which is one of the streams of money that I get. So doing it for Patreons is a way for me to not have that problem of, will this be flagged? Will this be, you know, taken down or so on? So this is going to be the first one. It's public, so you guys can see what the concept is. I basically set up a main camera there, and then I have a second camera here, which I can show you cameras or whatever. If you guys want to see something, I don't know if we're going to be talking about a medium format camera or whatever, I can show you guys on the second angle. But mostly it's the idea is the main angle. So it's a Q&A. And as I said in the title, it's Nico's Patreon Q&A stream number 1. This will start officially in December. So today is November 28th. But I wanted to make something that I could talk to you guys and show you. So the first one's open for everybody, and the following ones will be private behind Patreon. So that way you guys can get a sense. This would be, as I said, the $5 Q&A live stream. So not only do you help me make the news, but you help me make things like this and other videos. And I wanted to be here and answer questions. You guys can write on the little chat. I can see you guys here. We have Daniel from Certain Exposures already in here. And hopefully we'll get more people. I used to do a live stream a week every Wednesday. I did that for like a year. And I really, really enjoyed it. But the problem was that as family and YouTube got bigger, it was much harder to find the exact date and the exact time. And my kids would go to sleep later, so I couldn't. So I stopped doing those live streams, and I do miss it. So the idea of doing this for you guys is, you know, once a month, sit down, talk about photography, talk about gear or, you know, questions you might have. And I will be hopefully sharing my answers and talking to you guys. So yeah, I've set a couple cameras around. I do have a lot of cameras here. I have 4x5, 8x10, another Mamiya RZ, and so on. I have a Mamiya RZ here. So anything that you feel like asking or so on, you can ask happily. We have Derek, who's sending hellos, and Nico Cazales hellos. And the funny thing is, 3 out of 3 are Patreons. So I hope you guys can see this outside of Patreon too for this open one. And as much as it does have that on the title, I just want to show. And I put it on, I put a little sticker that says Patreon Q&A, so you guys get an idea of what it will be about. So yeah, I've been working on a couple videos. I have one coming up that I've been procrastinating on editing because it's the first time I've shot a video without any talking, and now I have to do like a shot with like B-roll overlay talking, like narration, like Ben Horn kind of does. So it's been really hard, and that will be pretty cool. It's shooting 4 Mamiya RZ67s, and that is why my Mamiya RZs right now have letters, because I had like the A body with the A back and the A lens. So this was one kit that I was shooting, and then I was shooting other kits that I had. So this will be coming hopefully by the end of next week, but we'll be seeing some content on shooting multiple cameras in a very different way. Also, I have Plowbell Machina coming my way. A lot of people have been asking me to make videos on that, so Plowbell 670 is coming here. I'll be doing some, I don't know, initial impressions, some sort of review, even though I do want to shoot before with it, but maybe initial impressions and like how-tos on the camera. It's a finicky camera, so you do have to be careful with focusing to infinity before you close it down, and all these things that you're supposed to be careful with the Plowbell. The light meter cable can break if you don't focus to infinity when you close it down, and then that has to be changed and whatnot. But so far, I mean, hopefully it won't break on me, and you guys can see how it is. I've been wanting a lightweight 6x7 camera because the RZ doesn't really cut it in the lightweight 6x7 experience when I'm going out for a walk or something. And right now I can't even go out for walks because we are mid second official lockdown. So I can't leave my town, which has like 8,000 people, and that means that I can't go anywhere to shoot except for my local area, which is fine. There's quite a bit to do, and I've shot some Yashica matte pictures because I'm working on a video on that, and I'm trying to get some other stuff, but it's hard. Also, something that probably some people are wondering is about the live streams in the darkroom. My usual schedule for that was going to be starting at 8 at night and going in to the late hours of the night, but we have a curfew timing of 10 o'clock. And I was going to be printing on fiber-based paper that needs an hour wash time. So that was going to involve me having to start way earlier and trying to figure it out with family scheduling, as weekends is the time that I usually spend with family, except for today, which we're doing this Q&A, which so far is me talking. But yeah, what's your town? My town is in Bilbao, Spain. It's the outskirts. It's called Berango. I'll write it on the chat. So it's B-E-R-A-N-G-O. Oh, that didn't go through. B-E-R-A-N-G-O. Sounds like Durango, which is actually a town in the US. Actually a town down here. You need to get a bed in the studio. Yeah, I could do a bed in the studio. I've actually looked into it. I used to have big sofas and sometimes nap in the studio while I was printing or whatever. But yeah, basically working on that. Hopefully get it ready so I can do those dark streams where I'm very excited. This thing that you're barely seeing on angle 1, but you're seeing on angle 2 is the little switcher that was going to let me do the magic in the darkroom. So at least I'm using it today. You guys get to see how it will look. We can even have a picture-in-picture, which is kind of funny. You guys can probably see me in one corner and have like picture-in-pictures on. Let's see if I can see it. It has a slight delay, you see? So I could be showing you something. You guys could be seeing it. So there's a little bit of fun to have here. But yeah, The idea is Q&A. I know it's come out of nowhere. Most people probably don't have any questions. They're just going to bump into seeing what's going on. But the whole plan for this is going to be that monthly Q&A for Patreon. Like I said at the beginning, I'm going to just quickly overstate it. I've changed the Patreon idea, and it's not only, yes, people will be supporting the show, the news, and all these things that I do, but also I want to give back. So there's different levels. They all have access to a Discord chat with different levels of rooms. So the main room is all Patreons can talk, which is like a chat, just like a WhatsApp group or whatever, or a Telegram group. And then we have levels. So the $5, there will be this live stream Q&A. And the $10, there'll be artist or project photo book or anything. I've actually bought already a couple photo books, which my first artist is probably going to be, video will be on Nicholas Nixon, which is someone I really enjoy his work. And that will be done in a closed loop of those Patreons that are, at the higher mark. And the idea is that I can give something back to people because people support me and I enjoy it, but I do think there should be more things that I could do. So live streams are not too complicated, especially with this setup in the studio. And now with the lockdown, no partners in my studio can come over. So it's me alone. What personal projects am I working on right now? I have one that I haven't started officially, but I do want to start shooting at work. I work as a carpenter, and it's like as any factory has old machines, new machines, but mostly old machines. And the details and the debris and the sawdust and all that stuff is always laid all over the place. Tools and all these things. And to me, it reminds me so much of some of those like pictures that you see of abandoned warehouses or abandoned offices. I've seen them from Kodak and so on. So my idea is to take a 4x5 and have it at work, outside of a dusty area, so probably at the office. And after work, I want to start shooting and documenting how I shoot. So the idea for that will be that I take a 4x5, leave it at work, only coming back and forth with film holders, and I'll have a tripod and everything that I need to shoot there at work. And I'll probably set a shot or two shots each time because I don't want to stretch myself too far into time. Also, it gets dark here at 5 o'clock, so I finish work at 2 o'clock. I have 3 hours of light. It's winter light. So the idea is that I'll set up the camera, I'll shoot some, very detailed or macro shot, and I'll do different movements. And as that is something very specific, I'll be making some B-roll, probably no speaking voice, B-roll of how I set the camera and how everything was and all that. And then I'll do an A-roll here in the studio with the results, talking over what I did, how I did it, and so on. And the idea after shooting for maybe a couple months at work is to have a body of work that could work as maybe some small zine or not a photo book. I don't think I'll ever shoot enough to be a photo book, but some sort of zine where I can have like 4x5 contact prints and it can show my work to me, because I will be leaving my work by next summer. So 15 years working there, I want to kind of have some memories from it. And I also feel like the details and that kind of like abandoned look from old factories is there, even though it's not abandoned. So that's one of the projects I'm working on. I've already set up all the logistics behind it. Now I just have to start shooting it. So that would be one of it. And then apart from that, not many other projects right now. Then Rogero says, for you, why for you film photography and the skate scene are so connected? This actually came out yesterday on an interview. I had an interview with a Mexican photographer, Alondra, on Instagram. I think it's still probably on my story, so you can check it out. But to me, the skate scene and the photography scene are connected because skateboarding, at least when it all started, was never a main sport. It was never on TV. It was never a league. There was never anything. So being like, let's say like a B-class sport, there was way more of a culture scene. It was more an artsy scene. So yeah, people were doing basketball, soccer, hockey, whatever, tennis. But the skateboarders were kind of like slightly legal and slightly different. And that was always where people that were in the graffiti world or the anything like that were settled. So I think photography and skateboarding have that like artistic cultural sidetrack that has made it so popular in between photographers. And nowadays skateboarding is way more popular. It's X Games and they're making millions of dollars, but back when it was very much a very different scene from the usual. It was also in the surfing community, and there's a lot of art in surf too, so I think that's why it has something to do. Okay, guys are getting here, so let's see, there's a lot of questions, so let me go to the pop-out chat so I can read you guys better. Hola, I was typing, lost track of time, a small amount. Hi, Ludi. Anthony says, I have a question. I have tried 4x5 but not get on the ground glass focusing, even using a loop. I wear glasses. Any advice on how I should try large format again with an alternative options? If you're using glasses, which is not my case, I probably should start using them, but I'm not using them yet. And you can achieve focus. Usually there's two problems with achieving focus and nothing to do with glasses for now. I'm going to try to go for the first route. First route is most people don't know how to focus because of the distance between the front of the lens and the glass on the ground glass. So in theory, infinity should always be the distance between the lens. So like a 210 millimeter lens should be at 210 millimeters from the ground glass to the center of the lens. And that's like your hand width when you do like this. So that's around 210 millimeters. So that would be infinity. So if you want to focus closer, you have to extend more, okay? If you're using a 90 millimeters, it's basically 10 centimeters, which is that much, probably the length of your finger. And that's how far it is. That's why you usually need bag bellows or a receded lens board. Because of glasses, I would see if you can try to find a loop that maybe has a diopter exchange so you can check it out. But if you're able to use a loop and without a camera, just focus on a dial. Like I have a loop just back there. I don't want to get him up in front of the live stream, but if you guys want me to, I can get up to get stuff. And if you grab a loop and you can see details on a stamp or a book, then the problem is not with your glasses, the problem is with your focusing on the camera. So I would check to see if just with a loop you can look through and see. If that's the case, then it's problems with the camera. If you're using a loop and you're looking at something and you can't see, that means the glasses. Maybe you can use different style glasses or something like that. Some people even use reading glasses that actually magnify a little bit. So they don't use a loop and they just use those glasses to look at the ground glass. So that could be maybe some advice there. But I don't use glasses, so I can't really help too far on that one. Will you take any portraits of your coworkers? I think about attempting that sometimes. I've thought about it, but first of all, I work at a company that's owned by a family, and I'm supposedly the heir to the company. So the day that I announce that I'm leaving, it's probably going to be taken slightly wrong. So I don't think people will be very happy with me leaving, because maybe that means the company doesn't have that future and whatnot, which I think it does, but if not, I wouldn't be leaving. But we'll see. I don't know if I will ever do that. There's only like 10 people, and I don't know if they'll be very open. Also, every time that we finish work, they all run away home and have lunch and so on. So I don't think I'll be able to take portraits of my coworkers. Let's see. Do you visit the same shooting location multiple times usually, or usually one time? This is a funny question, and I think it's interesting. I found when I'm shooting large format, and let me grab a camera quickly. When I'm shooting large format, okay, let me put this on the side. That can go there. So when I'm shooting large format, I find that I will not be taking the camera to the first place for, like, ever. So usually when I go out and find places, locations, and spots, I usually walk around maybe with a 35 millimeter camera, maybe a medium format. That's where the plow bell hopefully will fit in. But I don't take a large format. So I go first, I see the location, see the lighting, maybe the timing of the day and the light that is available, amount of people that could be there, if there's traffic, whatever that could be, the conditions. And then later down the road, maybe I'll come back with a large format camera. So I would never wander with a 4x5 in my backpack to see if I see photo opportunities. I'm not a landscape photographer, so that's not into my book. I do like seeing landscape photography every now and then, but it's not my, topic. So I will not walk around with this looking for an image. I will walk around normally, maybe without a camera even, and then come back later with the camera I decide is the best option. Medium format is also something I quite enjoy. So I'll walk around maybe with a backpack with this, or the Pentax that's in the back over there. Oh, over there. Sorry, I changed it yesterday. It was over there. So that's what I usually do. But yeah, I don't usually go shooting one place only when I'm traveling. And then I'll take whatever I've decided to take, and that's that. I can only shoot with that. Then we have Mr. Barbaros. What would you recommend as a beginner kit for 35mm developing? Possibly 122. Most people use the Patterson tanks, and they're great. I've got nothing against them. But the problem with Patterson tanks is that when you want to expand, you have to buy a bigger tank, and then you have to change the spool. The center core is also longer. So if you go from a small tank to a bigger tank, you have to use that. Plus, Patterson tanks are only meant to be used by hand agitation. And I know there's a couple new inventions that are rolling in some rollers. There's the BS processor and so on. But I do use, for my own photography, Jobo equipment. And what's cool about the Jobo equipment, what's not cool is the price. Let's start there. What's cool about it, it's modular, so you can expand the tanks, and you can use it by hand inversion, but you can also use it on the Jobo machines. And yeah, before you go ahead and pull your hair because they're so expensive, in the secondhand market, you can buy a Jobo CPE2 or Jobo CPA2 or 3. Or CPP2. So the bigger ones for sometimes around $250 to $750. They can go higher, but that's a price range you can find something. And that really will be really nice for developing at home with very little chemistry, doing color slides and so on. So I recommend Jobo because it's more like an ecosystem, and Patterson if you only want to do 35 and 120 and never use any kind of Jobo-ish machine. For beginners, but they're all beginner kit. Also, there's a Adox kit for developing, and then Cinestill has kits for developing that are they sell you the chemistry and the tank and so on. So that's a pretty cool little way to start, and it's not too expensive. You save a little bit of money. Okay, we have Max Shoots Film. What would you say is your least favorite film? That's interesting. My least favorite film. I guess that I like how you asked it, because the least favorite, because they're all my favorite, I guess. I do enjoy pretty much every film. I've really never struggled, I've never managed to find the spot where Ektar looks good. I just bought 2 boxes of 120 Ektar and my idea Kodak Ektar 100 color negative. And my idea is to try to shoot it in different scenes to see where I find the sweet spot. I intend to push it, I intend to pull it, I intend to use a landscape, portraiture, and so on. So the idea is Ektar has been my nemesis in what results would be. So hopefully I can get to find its sweet spot and enjoy it. Everything else I've been fine with. I've had many problems, but yeah, that could be more my issue than the film issue. But as you said, my least favorite film, so I guess it's my own opinion. Is there a specific PC, Anthony says thank you, Anthony. Sky Wilson, is there a specific PC cord for Leica M4? I have a couple, but they always fall out of the camera's PC port. I've actually used PC ports on my Leica M2, and I haven't found that it pops out, but I also usually don't run too much around with it. I highly recommend you just put some gaffer tape. I have gaffer tape on everything around the studio. Everything's pink gaffer tape in my studio. And I have pink because nobody else uses pink, so then I always have a very distinct knowing that it's mine kind of thing. So all my tripods and lights and everything have gaffer tape. So yeah, I would just gaffer tape it to your camera, and gaffer tape can be reused. One good thing to have is I usually take a 35mm not the canister, but I'll take a 35 millimeter plastic cassette, and what I do is I wrap gaffer tape around it, so I always have gaffer tape wherever I go, because you don't want to be walking around with the whole gaffer tape roll in your backpack. Nico is getting a plowbill. Yes, Nico is getting a plowbill. I'll tell you the story. Oh, I guess I could tell you. A friend of mine is selling, and he let me pay him little by little. And I've been really wanting a 6x7 that I can walk around with, and this could be the camera. And I've never, ever, ever used it as my own. I've shot a couple of shots here and there, but I've never used one of my own. And my friend has like 3 or 4, so he's giving me one. And it's pretty beat up. You guys will see it on the videos, but the idea is that I will get it CLA'd or, you know, up fixed, or, you know, hopefully in very good working order at Camera Rescue in Finland. And the price is pretty sweet, so I can always add that. RL Brooks says, love your videos, keep them coming. Thank you. They will be coming. I've probably never had more ideas than recently, so it's hard. I actually had a whole month of like not knowing exactly what to do, of how many video ideas I had. And I've purchased some cool stuff to show and make better videos, but right now they require a small crew, and I can't get my crew over. So it's been me sitting down here most of the time. Certain exposures, he's going to do a review of Pablo Machina. Yep. Why I see the Patreon stream and I'm not a Patreon, Coco. This, you're seeing the Patreon stream because it's open. The idea is that I'll be doing this monthly, and I wanted to show everybody that this is what will be coming to Patreon. I won't be doing open live streams of Q&As outside the Patreon system. Maybe 1 or 2 a year. Maybe I'll do one on Black Friday, but then maybe nobody will be watching. But the idea is that I'll be giving more to people that are supporting the show on Patreon. So this first one is to show you guys outside of Patreon and inside of Patreon what the deal will be. And maybe people are interested, or maybe people are not interested. This is just a little teaser, if you want to call it something. Nico Gonzalez, he wants people to have a sample episode. Exactly. Nico understands Nico. Cool. I presume that it'll be a normal lens version. Yeah, it's the 82.8 on the Pablo Machina. He has the wide, but he's not selling the wide. And I actually probably wouldn't enjoy using the wide as a single standalone camera. I wouldn't mind having a wide version, but more like a loaner than a permanent camera. I'm not that much of a wide user, at least not with 6x7. Celestial, where I find Ektar to look good, slide looks better. Yeah, basically that's the thing. Like, not that I rather shoot slides, but every time I shot Ektar, it's saturated in a way that I didn't like it. It almost looked like your chemistry went wrong. I've only taken one shot on Ektar that I've really enjoyed, and it was a landscape picture, funny enough, of the sun coming out. So, sunrise. And there was a bunch of like steam on the landscape, and it was that time of the year that the leaves were changing from that orange to like yellow, and it actually came out really, really nice. I gotta find that shot and print it. Sky Wilson, awesome, thank you, Nico. I will use gaffer tape. For some reason, the cord doesn't seem to snap on in. Yeah, gaffer tape for everything. Just always like buy it. And if you're in the U.S., it's so easy to find. In Europe, it's way more expensive and less easy to find. Ludite, I came across a new YouTube person who carries around a Fuji GW690 version 2, so now I am considering getting one. They're cheap, which still is surprising. I guess 6x7 rule, social media. What do you think that is? Why do you think that is? I think 6x7, okay, so when you get into medium format, let's say we have 645, which I have here, 6x6, which is Hasselblad, which I have over there, 6x7, 6x8, 6x9. So the thing is, if you're coming from 35, 6x9 is it's the same aspect ratio, and yes, the quality is way bigger, but you're trying to step from one thing to a little something different. So that might be too close to 35. Once you upload it on social media, it basically, yeah, you can see the quality, but it's not that outstanding. 6x6, of course, is square. It's beautiful, but it's square. Maybe you're not a square guy. And then 6x7 just hits the middle between that big 6.9 and 6.7 and 6.6, sorry. And it just has that sweet spot. Plus, it's perfect for enlarging on paper. It has kind of like those attributes that remind me of like 4x5. And I really enjoy it. And that's why probably it's winning on, you know, social media. Because it's always been one of the best fit. I think one of the most popular formats out there with Mamiyas, Mamiya 7, Mamiya RZs, RBs, and so on. So I think it's one of the best. Plus, I think the system, a camera system, is very hyped on Mamiya. And also, most people on social media, YouTube, are shooting Mamiya RZs, shooting Mamiya 7s, and that always brings the masses to there. So the moment someone that's big on YouTube or social media has a Mamiya RZ, everybody wants it. The moment someone on social media has a Mamiya 7, everybody wants it. So it works like that. They're trends, I think, but it's not a wrong trend. I quite like the 6x7. GW683, and I take it on the hikes. It's not that bad to carry. Yeah, I have a GW683 over there. It really doesn't weigh a lot. It's big because it's big, but it's not heavy at all. It's a really lightweight camera. And I do like 680, but that mine requires a bit of love and care, and I haven't done that. But 6.8 is pretty fun. I'd bring back Kodachrome or Reality of Max. Someone asked me. Oh, I missed one question. Well, you guys are going too fast. Form factor is close to 8x10. That's one of the things. Ektar is too bright. It's like saturation has been turned up to 11. Yeah, that's my thing. I want to see if I can control that saturation. If you could bring back one dead film stock, what would it be? This question was asked to me yesterday. I would bring back probably one or like 2 or 3 different film stocks. One would be Fuji Astia. It was a slide film made for portraiture and fashion, so color rendition was perfect, like perfect. Then I would bring back Fuji Neopan 1600, which is a black and white film with ISO 1600. It was really nice. And then I would bring back Neopan 400, which was Fuji's black and white 400 speed. Those 3 emulsions from Fuji would make me very happy. Plus, if I could, I would convince Fuji to bring back and keep on making FP100C or the 3000B, like either or. Black and white would be super cool to have again. And I've seen that One Instant is trying to work on black and white, so hopefully we'll see that coming. And even though the price is a little high, better than having no film at all. Let's see. With the rise in Kodak prices, I'm wondering, what do you think is a great color alternative or an underrated color film? I think Kodak Gold is pretty fun. I use it on my point and shoots. I actually shot a roll with this point and shoot recently. Let me see if you guys can see. It's been on my social media, Instagram, and so on. So this is the Canon AF35J, and it sounds horrible. Listen to this, guys. Yeah, that's how it sounds. And that's a shot I took. But this, I would say Kodak Gold is pretty underrated, but also the price is going up. So that's basically what I would say. 6x9 eats 120 and 8 shots exactly, but you do need a meter. Yeah, when you're shooting with the Fuji Texas Leica, so the 6.7, 6.8, and 6.9 Fujis, just get one of those light meters like the Ravenni Lab one, which is so small and lightweight. I was using it today shooting at my house with a Yashica mat, and it's just like, it's so small, it's like smaller than the knob on the advanced wheel, like, or the focusing wheel on the Yashica. So it's really easy to put. Like, I have here, oh, sorry guys, I thought I was on angle 1. So I have here this, you know, half frame. Like, you put the light meter on this, it's the size of the hot shoe. So like a little light meter like that one is pretty nice. I usually carry a meter. I prefer fewer shots now. Personally, a hole of 35 seems to last forever. Yeah, 35 does seem to last a long time. I actually just keep on shooting till I run out. I don't even look at the number of frames. I shot recently 2 rolls of a film that's coming out soon. I was testing it. Can't give more details in that. And it was 2 rolls I shot in one day, and shooting 72 shots in a day during, you know, pandemic lockdown was pretty hard. I do prefer less hits, but 8 goes quick. Yeah, I usually get one good shot out of a roll, whatever the format is, except for large format. And 8 shots is pretty fast, I have to say. 10 is like the sweet spot, 6x7. Advice. Canon EOS Elan 7NE. I have a chance to acquire a new inbox for around $200. Worth it. Prefer medium format film, but also Canon digital, so have lenses. Grateful for you. So I've been shooting Canon video cameras for a little while. These are 2 C100s that I have in front of me. And when I got into them, I was like, okay, I'm going to be buying Canon glass, so I want to have a Canon body. And I was shooting FD glass and FD bodies on film, and I was like, okay, well, I get something. So I bought a Canon 1V, then accidentally bought a Canon 1N, then bought a Canon 300, then bought a Canon 300X, then bought a Canon 620, then a 650. So I've been buying all these inexpensive-ish, at the end, Canon AF bodies. They are amazing. Like, I hands down love them. I was a Nikon guy, so this is a Nikon, what is it, F401, and I love Nikon. I really do like it. But shooting video with Canon, I have Canon glass now, and I was like, okay, might as well buy Canons. I highly recommend it. For $200 new in box, if it works fine, I would get it. The 1N also for $200 is amazing. It's like a pro camera. And the 1V, if you can find it for, I bought mine pretty cheaply, is also amazing, but it does get bigger. So yeah, that Elan 7NE is amazing. And it's a great thing to kind of like forget about focusing and doing all that stuff. It kind of like does it for you. I really enjoy it. I actually walk around with my 70-200, which is actually not mine, it's a loan, with the 1V, and it's just a different change of pace, which is kind of fun every now and then. We have someone asking about Color Plus. Color Plus is coming in 2021, so we just gotta wait. I have a Mamiya 6, but want to shoot 6x7, but can't afford the 7. So I'm really looking forward to your review on the Plowbell. It's a mystery camera, but maybe one I'd get. Yeah, the 6.7, like if you have a Mamiya 6 and you want to shoot 6x7 too, and maybe don't want to get rid of it, I would suggest the Fuji GF6 670. I always forget. The latest Fuji folder. That camera can shoot 6x6 or 6x7. Of course, you have to set it at the beginning. It has like a little coin twist, and it has these little levers that come in and let you shoot either square or 6.7. And the price of the Mamiya 6, you can sell it and probably only put a couple hundred more and have that camera that can shoot both formats. Yes, you can't change lenses, but it's a pretty good camera. Plus, it has aperture priority. It has like sync for any speed if you're using strobes. It folds into something really small like the Plowbell, not with the lens hood, which is a bit of a bummer because of course there's like a cap on top, but it does protect the camera, so the lens, so you carry it. It's a pretty nice camera. I've used it. I actually bought one new for a friend and then used it for a couple of rolls and then gave it to him in B&H a couple of years ago. Okay, My Belief Harold. Harold is here, who's the guy that came out with Valoy, so the Kickstarter. So you guys should go check it out. He's got some pretty cool device coming soon to the market. And hopefully I'll be using the beta to make a video for you guys to see if it's worth it, to put your money on it. My belief about Ektar, which I love, is that it's hard to scan, but wet prints really nice. But I guess you have printed it too. No, I have not printed Ektar, so I'll check that out. But yeah, I'll try. I have 10 rolls of 120, and I'll be shooting that soon and printing if possible. In your opinion, what's the acceptable weight for a 4x5 field camera? I'd say One thing with field cameras that is not brought out a lot nowadays with Intrepid cameras, and since Intrepid basically came a lot, I haven't read it in many places, maybe because I don't read so much about cameras anymore, is there's a moment where lightweight cameras increase with movement, so with wind movement. So with you're shooting 4x5 or 8x10, there's a moment that the camera weight comes down, and with the camera weight comes in the camera wobble. Okay, so wobble is wind or your tripod moving with the wind or whatever it could be. And there's a point where's the sweet spot where a camera will wobble a lot because it's too lightweight, and maybe you want to go backwards a little. I think that sweet spot on 4x5 is around 1.5 kilos, which in pounds I have no clue. It's like 1.5 liters of milk. I guess if you guys are in pounds, you don't know liters, but you get the idea. 1.5 kilos. This Chamonix F1 that I have here, let me go to angle 2, weighs around that. This is a pretty sturdy camera. Like if I move it, the table moves, you know, but the camera doesn't really wobble. And when it's locked, it's locked. So to me, this is the kind of camera that has the weight that's pretty nice. Lighter than this, yes, it's much nicer to carry, but you're also carrying lenses, film holders, light meter, tripod, dark cloth, and yourself and food and water, whatever you're walking around with. So this to me is the compromise of weight and sturdiness, this camera. I'm a big fan of these, and I've sold them in Spain. I was the actual seller in Spain for a while with a partner, and I walked away from that when I was doing more YouTube. But just so you guys know, that's why I also like them a lot. I started, but I had them already before. I had the 11x14 before any of this. Okay. Canon point and shoot sounds like a Bronica RF645. Yeah, the Bronica RF645 sounds like a dying robot, and this one too. All those Canon bodies sounds like someone likes to drink a few beers and scroll through eBay. Yeah, we have like a local Craigslist here in Spain, and every now and then I'll find Canons for 20 euros. And like, to me, a body like this one, and this is a Nikon F401S, like a body like this one for 10 to 15 bucks, like why not? Like why not? And I've been wanting to make videos on like why one should start with cameras like these, shooting film, because they are just very cheap and all that. And let me take a shot of you guys. It's got film in it. I always shoot something on the live streams, but I like these cameras, so they're cheap, and I guess I fall for them. Someone here says, I have the Canon EOS 1V and the EOS 5. I love them. Same here. Like, they're amazing, amazing cameras. Like, it doesn't get any better than that. Like, just amazing. Like, I would never trade those cameras for their more manual counterparts. Like the Canon F1, and I know it's an amazing camera, don't get me wrong, but like people are paying more money for a Canon F1 than a Canon 1V. And yeah, they're both super capable, and one is more mechanical and has that feeling and that vibe and the looks, but like the 1V is just so nice to use, and it just never fails. Will you do a video on the EOS 1V? I do want to. I've watched a couple from David Hancock on YouTube, and he makes these super thorough like reviews and user videos, and like it has so many things on it that it's just like, if I go all into it, it's too much. So I'll do like a lightweight overview review of it, but I love it, I have to say. Hey Ebian, he just came in. Let me see if I'll go up, but Ebian, hi. Too long, yeah. Okay, see what someone said here. Does color film typically scan really green or cyan? I use Epson software plus Negative Lab Pro, but it's still a pain to correct the colors. They really look awful when first scanned. I have that problem with Epson, but one of the things that you're supposed to do is you scan as a positive, and then you white balance with the mask, so you want to have a bit of that orange mask on it, and then you convert, and it usually works pretty well. But color negative film can be a little finicky, especially if you develop yourself. Developing color negative at home is something that's really easy to get results, but really hard to get good results. So everybody out there saying it's super easy, yes, it's super easy. You basically do anything to it, it'll come out. But for the color to come out perfect, it's really hard. And that's why labs do such a great job, is because the machines are tuned to be perfect. When you do it at home, a couple of degrees here and there can really become an issue when you're developing and then scanning. And you'll spend hours trying to color correct and not find the sweet spot because it basically has a shift of colors. Sky Wilson says, sorry, I'm asking too many questions. Well, that's the whole point of this Q&A, is you guys ask all the questions you want, Patreon or not. And as I said, this is going to be something that will be on Patreon, but you guys can ask anything you want right now. How can we do your tutor service? Is there a link? John, if you go to Nicosphotographyshow.com, there it has like workshops and you have tutoring, but I also have that now on Patreon. So if you only want like an hour a month or a couple hours a month on Patreon, I'm offering for a higher price than the usual perks, that one-on-one tutoring. So if you go on Patreon and you look it up, it's patreon.com/Nicosphotographyshow all together with an S. Even though my name is Nico, I put the S there, and a lot of people think my name is Nikos. There you can find it. And there's a link just below. So if you go to the description box, you'll see the Patreon, and there you can see the tire. And if not, you can always write me and I'll help you out. But yeah, I'm doing tutoring classes all one-on-one, and that's been really nice for me as a change of pace. I just set up something like this and I help people like via Zoom call or Skype call or anything about film photography or anything they need. Then we have books you suggest to read about photography or anything else. I'm not a big reader, sadly. My daughter is, and I'm really proud of that. There's a book about photography that's like the photography, I think it's like a diary, but it's like things to do if you're stuck. And it's a pretty cool book. And it gives you like different ideas if you're stuck or projects to do about shooting something during a time, and like all different photographers. I think it's like the photographer's formulary. I'll look it up and I'll see if I can post a video on it. I'll maybe make a little review on the book. It's super fun. Apart from that, I listen to podcasts mostly and don't really read a lot of books. I don't have a lot of time a day to sit down and read, sadly. Okay. So you're using the Blackmagic switcher. How is it? It's actually really cool. Lets you change between angles and microphones and picture-in-picture and all that. 4 cameras, which I only own 2 right now. So 2 cameras for me, but it's really nice. It's heavier than it looks, that's for sure. Hey Nico, okay, Andreas. I plan to design 3D print a 6x7 camera and integrate it with shift movements, 4x5 lens. Someone said Photographer's Playbook. I think that's the name. I'll leave a link below once I finish this live stream. It would require a mountable focusing screen for composing. If you want to plan to design a 3D 6x7 camera with shift, I would say you look at, for example, the Plowbell had a shift camera that's like a 6x9 with shift. Arca Swiss has a similar concept. Silvestri had a really cool 6x7. This could probably be done with 3D printing, and it uses like a plate for the lens and a plate for the back, and they move in different ways, but 3D printing is getting pretty good, so maybe you can do something like that. I would make something that will work with an existing 6x7 back that has self-advancing. So look into the Graflex, I think they're the 220s or GH, or I can't remember the name. Graflex has like medium format backs, which have an advance, and also Horseman have it for the 6x9, and Linhof has them. So look into that and adapting it. Since you have such a good overview of interest, do you think it would be anything? I have not seen that exact camera, Andreas. I have seen the guy that made the Will Travel has made a Will Travel like camera that's like all movements, but it's 4x5. But you could just put a 6x7 back on that 4x5 and do that. So that's an idea. But he's done it. It's pretty cool. And he has integrated like hardware, so like metal little screws and so on, so you can use these shift and moving and tilt and all that. So that's been done. John says, in my honest opinion, the 1N is better than the 1V. And price-wise, yes. Like the 1N is sold around 200 to 250 bucks, and the 1V is going up of 500. So yeah, in terms of like value for money, the 1N is super nice, and I would recommend that. Will we see more videos on color darkroom pinning? Yes, I do want to make more darkroom videos, but like I said, the idea for that was going to be having help to help me record them and, you know, change maybe camera angles if I'm using this. But right now we are in lockdown and I can't have friends come over and help me. So I got to wait a little bit. I will be printing a lot more very soon. Cole says, I know you used to use the 21 3.5 Voigtlander and did a video on it. Will that ever come out? If not, what were your thoughts on it? Okay, so the funny thing is I never used the Voigtlander 21. I found it at Photokina, which has been announced to be discontinued. Photokina, like it's suspended for the time being, which probably will be forever, which makes me very sad. I'm going to make a video on that. We saw it at Photokina 2018. It was like high on a shelf, and my friend Jordan from Cameraville found it. And he's like, hey, what's that lens? And it was not even announced, didn't exist officially yet, and we found it. I made a whole video on it, but I never finished editing it, so I never really shot with it. So I can't tell you. I do own the Voigtlander, I think it's called the Scope R, like point and shoot or something like that. The 25 F4. And that is super nice. There is a video of me shooting the Santa Rye film, the ISO 1000 film that Camera Store sells. And that's super fun camera, and I really like the results. I think I also shot it with, oh, actually that was with the Japan Camera Hunter film. I think I shot that lens. Super nice. Looks like I've missed everything. Well, Sander, the video is going to be open for everybody. Thanks, all noted. I plan to use existing backs. Yeah, that's the best idea. I own a Fuji GA645 that I find so practical and bring me the sharpest images that I have ever. Sometimes I'd like to change to more reliable mechanical camera. Should I sell it or should I use it till it dies? That's something that happens to me. So I'm going to explain in a different way. This camera, this Pentax 645N camera was sold to me. Well, it was sold by a friend for a very, very low price. And this camera I know is going to die. Like at some point, this will just fail and will be a dud. Good thing about this, I can use the lens and I can use the inserts and a couple things more. I can, you know, Frankenstein parts. But at the price I paid, the result it gives me, I rather just use it till it dies. And that same thing happens to me with the Mamiya RZs and the point and shoots. Like they are cameras that I know will die when I'm using them. But that's the perks of it. Like you use it till it dies and then maybe get it fixed if possible. And meanwhile, enjoy it. If it really brings you the negatives you enjoy, that they're sharp, that the results are good, the metering on that camera is so good. I have the GA645W, so the wide version. Such a great camera. I shot some Velvia 50, amazing results. So if that camera really brings you joy, and it sounds like that girl that does the whole, does it bring you joy? Keep it till it dies. Just keep it till it dies. Like I have cameras that I know I'll keep till they die. Like there are other things that maybe I'll buy and sell, but like that cameras that I really want to have is like the RZ. If this dies, I don't mind. Like I won't, like I don't mind if it dies because I won't be angry because it's given me so many pictures and negatives and memories. So that's what I take it like. Adrian says, thank you for your knowledge and time. Thank you guys for watching. I wouldn't be here if nobody was watching. Probably I still would be here, but I would recommend the Art of Photography book by Bruce Barnbaum. I can't say that. But yeah, I've never seen that book, but I'll have a look. Graphics roll film backs are bad for flatness. Horseman is way better. Mamiya press backs have nice ergonomics. Yeah, listen to Nico. He knows his stuff about all these things because he's looking into all these do-it-yourself projects a lot. Adrian, keep it up. Keep it and use it till it turns to dust. That's what I think. Said, Cameraville said you made a video in it. Yeah, Camerville finished his video. I never finished my video. That's the problem. I have all the footage somewhere, but I never made a video. I never shot with it. They were going to let us shoot with it, but we were at Photogina doing interviews. We didn't have the time to go shoot. And they had to ask permission and all that. So basically never did anything. My biggest worry is getting the shift movements to work smoothly. Printed plastic would bind up quickly, so maybe there's some sort of metal V-shaped railing I could integrate. So if you want to do your movements, what I would recommend is like that Arca Swiss kind of mount, and in Spanish it's called Cola de Milano, which is like this like triangle. And it's used for very precise movements on monorail cameras and machinery, like very industrial machinery. And the thing is, you can print that into a way that it won't light leak because the own architecture or design of the joint won't let it. And then to screw up and down, you use an actual normal screw, like a metallic screw. And that will be just like, okay, let me put angle 2. Like the way you focus on this camera is just a long knob, and it has a long, like, let me see if I can show it to you. Probably won't see it, but this has like a very long screw inside, which is in here. Yeah, you guys can't see it. It's just there. See if focus can go there. So this. So you can make the parts out of plastic, but then put like a metallic screw that will let you precisely focus or shift or tilt or whatever you want. Okay, we're hitting 1 hour. My idea was doing around 2 hours, guys, just so you know. Is there any positive film other than Ektachrome on the market right now? Yes, you have Provia from Fuji, you have Velvia 100 and Velvia 50 from Fuji as positive film. Long-term viability of shooting film. Will people still be shooting it in 5 to 10 years? Yes, there will still be film in 5 to 10 years, probably more than that, unless, you know, there's nothing else left. And because there's factories that can make black and white film easily. For example, Adox can make film. Ferrania is making film. Ilford is making film. Like color film, if you tell me 10 years from now, unless we see Kodak fixing up their issues and Fuji not leaving the market, that would be a harder thing to say. But black and white film, for sure. For 35 not expired. Yeah, you do have 35mm not expired slide film from Fuji. You should check the Dora Goodman forum and the Facebook 3D printing analog camera group. Oh, you can check that out for 3D printing. My RZ went, but it repaired like new for $350 US. Being the lenses are worth so much, I didn't mind. What do you think of the RB lenses for a MOT? I don't know what MOT means. The RB lenses are really, really good too. Like you can mount the RB lenses on the RZ. I've never done it just because I've always had the RZ lenses and they haven't broken on me yet. But the RB lenses are just as good. I mean, it's the same brand. The only thing is the RB is a little older and some of the RB lenses are a little older. And maybe the coatings are not so good, but the newer, I think they're called PE or I think it's PE or KE, something like that, is like the name for the RB later lenses. They look very much like the RZ. Kyle McDowell has a video on his RB and it has those lenses if you want to get an image, and his videos are probably the best out there. I'm aware of her cameras. We'll check the forum. That's the Dora Goodman. What do you think about Hasselblad 2000 series? Any advantage over the 2000 shutter speed? No. The Hasselblad 2000 series or the F series, which is a focal plane, are cameras that break all the time. They have the shutter in the back, so sync for flash is a pain. They have the problem that the shutter on the back of the focal plane tend to break or faulty easier than the V series. And they're 1/2000 speed and all that. Like, I just don't find them that appealing. I've never used them, but I've read quite a bit about them being less sturdy than the V series. So I've never got into them. Dora Goodman forum is not interesting because of Dora, but because of the guys who fixed her designs. Yeah, I tend to agree on that, and I'm not going to go further into that rabbit hole. What are your favorite magnifying loops? I noticed that that nice rod and stock around your neck in a couple of large format videos. I have that large format one from, yeah, rod and stock. It's one of those aspherical ones, and it's worth a ton. Like, I think I paid like 200 euros or 300 euros for it. I have some Peak Design, oh, the Peak Design, Nico. Peak ones that are Peak loop that are 5 times that are like 15 bucks on Amazon US. And those things are amazing. They're cheap, they're lightweight. They don't have a way to put a carry-on strap, but again, gaffer tape a strap and that's it. And 15 bucks, doesn't get much better than that. And they work really well. The rod and stock, is it better? Probably marginally better, but it's one of those things that you probably won't notice. So I like them both. I use mostly the Peak because it's always somewhere laying around here, because if it gets broken or dusty, I don't mind. But it's always accessible. It's one of those things when you have something that's really nice that you take care and you never use it because it's just put away. And then you have something really, you know, not so great and you always have it around and you use it more because it's around. That's the kind of thing that I have with loops. Let's see. More questions. KL lenses. Someone corrected me. The Mamiya RB KL are the latest lenses. Have the same sort of design as the RZ. Same like filter thread, if I'm not wrong, for filters, 77 millimeters, and the latest coatings and all that. So those are the ones that I really recommend if you're buying an RB 6x7. Anthony also corrected me. Thank you guys. That's why I love YouTube. There's always someone coming for help, helping me on the comment section. But also keeps it real, you know. I don't know it all, and you guys probably don't know it all, but you fill in my gaps. Sounds bad, is it? Any opinions about the Kodak Ektar RF camera as a suitable, cheaper alternative to the Leica M6 or M7? Not too much info on it online. So there's a variety of cameras with Leica M mount that have aperture priority. And those are really fun cameras to use. I would say, if I'm not wrong, the Zeiss Icon ZM, which I do own, then the XR RF, which I don't own. Then you have the Minolta CLE that I think has aperture priority, but don't quote me on that one. And then the Leica M7. If we put them all in order and by price, the Minolta is probably the cheapest. Then the Konica is the second cheapest. Then we have the the Zeiss Icon on the M7. The M7 is known to have some problems with battery sometimes, and the DX code reading sometimes fails. And it's Leica, so if something breaks, it can be fixed probably, but it's going to be expensive. The Zeiss Icon do tend to fail too sometimes, and they are a little too brittle. I actually have one. It has a max shutter speed of 1/2000, which is super fun. Basically, that's another one that I recommend and I use a lot. Then we have the XR RF, which doesn't let you advance the film, has a little motor, and it has 1/4000 of a second shutter speed, which is super cool. Never used one. I had them in my hands and they're selling pretty inexpensive. That would be a camera I would recommend if you don't mind buying it till it breaks. They all are going to break, but like that one, I've heard that it does tend to have, you know, problems and failures, but they are cheaper, so I wouldn't say it's bad. And then the Minolta CLE, which also has a little bit of fame of breaking sometimes, so I would say, you know, that too. They're all super fun cameras, all very recommendable, but do have that idea that if you use them, they will end up having some problem, and they're not mechanical, so something goes sideways, that's it. And the M6, you mentioned, the light meter is starting to fail quite a lot, and an M6 with a broken light meter is an M4. So I'm a big fan of the meterless cameras because, you know, you just don't rely on it. You use Sunny 16, a little Reveni light meter, or something like that. Someone says here that Hamish Gill from 35MMC likes it. He's got good taste. Let's see. I think I lost here. I lost the question somewhere. Looking into the M4P for Leica M6 alternative, all manual, and it's great. Oh, we have Connor being part of the Nicosphotographyshow gang. Now you can join a community here on YouTube. YouTube has like a subscription option, and Connor has become one. So thank you, Connor. Bessas have aperture priority or no? The Bessa, join the Patreon. We appreciate your show. Thank you, Connor. And all those that join Patreon, thank you so much. It really does help a lot. Bessas have aperture priority. Probably some Bessa does. I'm not super knowledgeable on the Bessa line. I've always wanted the L because it's super cheap, but that's about it. I can't tell you more. It's a Kodak 645 that sometimes shuts off and doesn't turn on until you remove the battery prism and film back, normal or bad. Supposedly with service. That sounds like that's not normal, I would say. But the 645s do pretty bad with humidity. So if there's in a very humid area, try to see if you can put it in some sort of dehumidifier, like, you know, those little closets, or in a bucket with rice, but not rice that can get into the camera. Something like that. You can put it like in a wrap and then inside rice. Maybe that will help because I have heard of people having problem with moisture and the camera just shutting down. M4P is my forever camera. Just got the Gossen DG6 and the Sekonic Twin Mate and put it on top. And if you want a meter, those are 5 times better than the Leica meter. Yeah, I've had the Sekonic Twin Mate, and honestly, that thing is so plasticky and ugly. The Gossen DG6 actually looks super cool. And it even has like a thermometer and like a chronometer, so you can like time your long exposures, which is super cool. And if you want to go smaller, I really am enjoying the Reveni Labs little light meter. Just remember that the RB Pro SD has a wider lens mount on the front, so it can accept all KL lenses. Early RBs have a smaller lens mount, so will not accept all of the KL family lenses. That, Anthony, is something I had never heard about and is very cool. So thank you for that. I'll search about that. Which film would you recommend for night shooting? Canon Nikon F3 Yashica Mat 124G. That's something that also is a misconception I've seen around. Like, night photography, you gotta get into reciprocity, which is when your ISO doesn't respond to the light in the same way. So when you get to very dark situations where the film has to expose for a longer time, the ISO, the sensibility of the film, drops. So that means that 1 second is not 1 second as 1/500 of a second is 1/500 of a second, and you need to expose it for longer. What happens is, if you're shooting night photography, and even Ken Rockwell, the King Ken Rockwell, has an article saying that Tmax is faster than Tri-X, and that is in the 100. That is because of reciprocity. When you're shooting at night, you want a film that has a good reciprocity. Acros from Fuji has a really good one. Then FOMA films have a really bad one. And then don't think ISO 800 is the night photography, unless you want to shoot handheld. If you want to shoot handheld, you want a high ISO film, and you can shoot handheld, and that's that. If you're doing night photography with a tripod, get a film that has a low reciprocity, and it doesn't have to be an ISO 400. It can be an ISO 100. So Tmax 100 has a really good one. Color film, for example, Portra 160 probably will be really good. I know a friend that shoots a ton of Provia 100 at night photography, and I highly recommend you check. There's like a whole group of film photographers in Baltimore that shoot film at night, and one of them is Patrick Jost, and I'm killing his name, so if someone can write it down, it's helpful. He does amazing night photography and actually shoots with a Yashica Mat, or Yashica Mat, I think 124G. So check him out and ask him any questions. Probably he's sick of getting questions about it, but you can try. But that would be a way to get into it. And they shoot all kinds of ISOs. So don't think that you need a 400 or 800 speed unless you're hand holding. Your favorite black and white film for portraits? So far I've shot mostly HP5 in black and white because I can shoot at all sizes of film I shoot. So I shoot 4x5, 8x10, 11x14, and I can afford HP5 pretty much in all sizes. but I have not gotten into other film stocks, mostly because I can't afford to shoot Tri-X on 8x10. I can't pay Burger in 11x14. So for now, it's the film I've chosen. So I can't say it's my favorite. It's the only one I can afford in the whole spectrum from 35 to 11x14. But I'm sure people can recommend. I would say probably something that's not exactly a 400 speed film. Depends on what you want. If you want grain and contrast, you can get a 400 speed film. And if you want more smooth tones, get something like Delta or Tmax. And if you want something a little with more character, you can get like Pan-F or something like that. Or ortho film, which brings that wheel freckles and skin marks and all that. Someone says here, I know you probably get asked this a lot, but how do you scan your different format negatives? I don't get asked a lot, but I have a Frontier scanner out of frame there, which I've used to scan 35 on 120 medium format film. I have an Epson V750 or 700 that I use for 4x5 and 8x10. And just recently, I've been using negative supply products. I have the 35 carrier and the 120 carrier and the 4x5. I have the Pixelator. I have the Abdi. I have way too many. I have the Essential one too, because I'm working on those. But I recently picked up a Canon digital body to be able to scan with a digital camera. So I haven't tested it all the way, but I really enjoy the negative supply. They're really sturdy. I know they're expensive, but I would say if you're trying to align like in the level of, you know, nice equipment and all that, I think they're up there with the nice stuff. And you buy probably once. Not the whole ecosystem's perfect. I don't like their riser, like the holder is quite wiggly and I don't really enjoy it too much. I like the Kaiser one better. But if you want something for everything, I would recommend something like an Epson V700 can do pretty much well with all of it. It is slow. I think there's like, have you ever seen guys that like there's a GIF which is like has cheap, fast, and good. And whatever you click, you can never click the 3. I think scanning is exactly that. Like you can never, if you want fast, it's not going to be like maybe good and maybe it's not going to be cheap. Or if you want like slow, it's going to be like maybe it's going to be cheap, but then it's, you know, like it's impossible to find the compromise. But if you're shooting sheet film, the thing is Epson scanners can scan sheet film pretty good. I know Negative Supply has the 8x10 holder. I haven't tested it out because it's out of my price range, and honestly the Epson does pretty good. And I also like just printing on my paper. We have something here. Francisco from Finland. Thoughts on FOMA 200 and 4x5? Which developer, best way to expose it? I use it at 100, Rodino 1 plus 50. I've never used FOMA 200. I've heard that it's pretty much the worst film from their line. I used the 100 speed, shot at 80 or 50 and developed an HC 110. And I've shot the 400, pushed the 1600 and HC 110 and B and got pretty good results. But I've heard that the 200 is not too great, so I can't tell you. But I've also heard that it has the mixture of the modern T grain and the classic grain in it. So who knows, maybe it is great. Christopher says, I have a Sekonic L508 I bought used and a Mamiya RB. I shot a roll Portra 400 and all was underexposed. Could it be either the RB or the Sekonic 508 needs to calibrate or just a screw up? Underexposed. So depends on how you're using a light meter. One thing is reflected light and one thing is incident light. So reflected light is when you take off the dome and you meter at the scene, pointing the light meter to your scene, okay? And incident is where you put your light dome, the white stuff, and you capture the light from where it's coming. So if you were doing a portrait of me, incident metering would be holding it, I don't want to hold my phone, but let's say this was my light meter. You were holding it here with a dome there would be incident light meter reading. And if you're doing reflective, you would be pointing the light meter at me without the dome or with a little spot meter. So if you're having issues, first check that you're metering properly. Second, use Sunny 16 as a kind of way to calibrate your meter. Check with a sunny day what it says, and it should do the Sunny 16 rule, which is 1 divided by the ISO speed at f16. So if you're shooting 400 speed film, it should be 1/400th or 500th at f16. Check that and see if that's how it did. Would you say the Canon 5D Mark II is a good camera? Yes, it's a great camera. I've used it to scan multiple times and to shoot some pictures and videos sometimes. Overall, it's a great camera, and today it's sold for pennies. You can buy one for like $250 or euros. Speaking of light meters, which do you use on a regular basis? I think I saw a Sekonic in some kind of your channel and some type of Gaussian. Okay. Gaussian sent me a light meter for free after Photokina 2018. I asked him for a DG6 and he said, nah, don't get the DG6. Get this other one. I think it's the Gaussian like F2 Gaussian light meters. Let's see if I'm going to see if I can Google this. Images. The one I have, yeah, the DG Pro F2. I love it. It's super nice and responsive. It's easy to light meter. When you turn it on, it immediately goes to metering. So that's super cool. And then I use a Sekonic 308. It's amazing. You can basically drop it on the floor and it still will work. I use the Reveni Labs. I use a Sekonic like 608 or something that has a spot meter. I use a Pentax digital spot meter. Also amazing. Most good light meters are just good. And most not so great light meters are usually not so great. But there's really not any light meter that I found really flimsy except for the TwinMate 208 from Sekonic, which just, it's like plastic. It's just not very good. Like cheap plastic. Someone says, Ektar 100 works well for night. That's something I want to use at night. Nico, what do you think of Leica 3? Can it be a cheaper alternative to Leica M3? Yes. I would recommend... I'm going to kill your name, Xuan. I would recommend the 3G. It even has frame lines in it. So the LTM Leica thread mount 3G is amazing and a really small camera compared to the M bodies. So totally recommend it. But the 3G is the best. It was the last one they made. Thank you for doing what you're doing, and hello from protesting Belarus. Sander, thank you guys for watching, and hopefully you guys get what you want out there. I know it's not easy. I come from a place with quite a lot of conflict where I live, and I can relate to when it's hard, it's hard. Have you used your camera Dactyl OG? If so, how do you like it? I have not yet used it. The funniest part is Ethan Moses came to visit me, stayed at my house, and he brought me one as a gift, and we even set it up together. Actually, he sent it before. We set it up together. I have the whole video ready, but I never got out to calibrate it, and I've never shot. I would say it's a little rough around the corners, but Camera Dactyl is not such a camera that you buy for the perfect camera smoothness, you know, Chamonix, Mamiya look. It's more like a cameras from dinosaurs kind of thing. And it probably works fine, but it is clunky. But also Ethan, on an interview I did with him, and I've talked to him before about this, wanted his cameras to be able to hold like a Jeep driving over it. And he is actually going to make a video about it. And these cameras are made to drive over them, basically. I've used the travel wide a lot, and I really enjoy it. But that one also has plastic little things that break. And I have two actually, just in case. But I'm very excited to try the OG. He printed me one for the 127mm Ektar lens, so I need to set it up finally and shoot. I actually have a box of Portra 400 just for that video. Where repair cameras in Europe? I recommend, if you can, Camera Store does offer repairs for Mamiya, Leica, and maybe a couple things more, but they do have a big lineup of things of their own store. But I've never used any other services. I've used a couple in Spain and they have not been good, so I can't recommend anyone right now. And PPP Repairs has a lot of hype on his name, and people speak very good about him. but I've never used him myself, so I can't say if he's really good with what I've done or not, but you might want to look into it. On the dreaded topic of scanning, I own a Reflecta MF5000, okay, but boy is a buggy and the ice does not work. I find myself checking each year if there are no offerings dedicated to MF scanners. Yeah, I feel like the consumer market of scanners and Reflecta, Epson and stuff are not bad, but they can be sometimes quite, problematic. And the new wave of scanning with your digital camera is becoming more popular. I just hope that somehow they clash into something, I like the idea that I can swap my camera as the sensor. I like the idea of using macro lenses and focusing on the negatives myself. I like the idea of digital ice. I like the idea of automatic feeding and scanning. So basically, I would love to own a Fuji Frontier SP3000 that's the size of this camera. That's what I want. That does 35 and 120. Sadly, the market is kind of dead. With all the technical advancements, especially rapidly prototyping via 3D printing, I hope yeah, basically the same thing. Thoughts on the Pentax 645 35mm or a good 21mm on Leica like the Ultra 1.8, f4 color scope bar, and 21 Zeiss. So I have a 45 on this camera and I really enjoy it. So I can say the 45 is fun. Never used the 35, but probably just as good. And if you're going for a Leica 21, I think I really like the idea of small lenses on Leica bodies. I don't like big lenses. Like I would never need a 21 1.8, like never. I actually own the 28 f1.4 from 7 Artisans, and that thing is huge. It's like heavier than the body. But I would probably go for the Leica 21 original lens. I think it's an f4 super angulon just because it's small. I really love the 28 Sumeron and I really want the new one, but I don't have the money for it. And the Zeiss probably is really good. The Voigtlander is a really good compromise of quality and price, I think, and size. Nico, are you still going to make a highlight video for smaller film channels? Yes. I said that on the news. A bunch of people gave me feedback, and then I just forgot about it. And now I would have to find which news. So maybe I'll make a call for all the news. Maybe I'll even make an email so people can like send me emails of smaller channels. But I do want to see and give some light to other smaller channels. The funny thing is the smaller channels that were mentioned in the news, many of them I subscribe to, and some of them are like bigger than my channel nowadays. So I love seeing that. Not in a bad way. I really mean I love seeing people grow. A Hasselblad Flex Body, is it worth 1,500? I don't really think so. The lenses on the Hasselblad are not meant to be shifted and tilted, and except for a couple of them, they don't have a bigger circle. And honestly, if you really want to do movements, it's such a pain to use this little 4x, like a little 6x6 camera. I would say the Arc Body is really cool because it has the lenses that cover movements. And if you really want to get into that, find a technical 6x9 camera and use 6x6 backs. Like Arca Swiss, Linhof, probably Cambo has one. There you have some like smaller, like technical cameras. Much better than a Flex Body. Is Darkroom paper going to disappear before film? No, it's not going to disappear before film. Actually, I can't say anything. It's like it's the horrible part about the news is sometimes people give you things you can't say. So I gotta wait. So no, it's not going to disappear. How do you develop Delta 3200? Which speed you shoot it? Nico Gonzalez. How do you develop it? I've only used it a couple of times, so I've developed it probably in D76. And I shot it at 3,200. I didn't really like the grain. It was really grainy. But I do want to get more of it and test it because I really like the Tmax 3,200 and I miss like the price of the Delta. So I want to try to love the Delta so I don't have to buy the Tmax. But I really love the Tmax. And the Tmax in HC 110 and B, I think it's like 11 or 13 minutes. Printed on paper is stunning. I have a picture upstairs. Maybe the next live stream I'll show you some darkroom prints I have upstairs. I'll do a Q&A upstairs with all the prints, and I'll show you guys how they look and all that. I'm going to do the next Q&A with an overhead camera so I can show you that on the Patreon live stream. Which, if I haven't mentioned and you haven't stuck here since the beginning, this is a Patreon live stream that I'm doing open. So you guys have a teaser or test video of what it's like. But the next versions of these Q&As are going to be from the $5 up tiers on Patreon. Is something like a Nikon 9000 worth it these days? Yes, it's really good. I love the quality from the Coolscan 5, but it's extremely slow in the Nikon software. Should I just invest in a macro and a slide copier? It's not too much money to buy a macro and a slide copier, honestly. And testing is really easy. You can even, and this is something that nobody is saying, I guess, but you can even just grab your film, put it on top of a light table, and shoot it with a camera, and it works fine. My editor, which now has moved on and is not my editor anymore, has been scanning like that for a long time, and his scans are incredibly good. And he's just basically putting his film on top of a light table, and he's using a Kaiser one, which is like the slim light, something like that, and a reproduction stand with a macro. And he uses like a Nikon manual macro lens, which is like $50. So for very little money, you can start testing to see if you like it. It's not the fastest because you got to put your film on by hand and cropping and centering and all that, but it works. Which is best, scanning with a flatbed scanner or photographing a negative film? Like I said before, I think both are best, both are worst for each different reasons. They all take you to the same place, which is getting your film on your computer. The flatbed is slower and has more things that you got to be very careful with. The scanning with a camera is a little bit more of an investment if you have to buy everything, but it also can be very fast, but dust is a problem. So I think they're different level of things that outweigh each other. So like the middle point is having an entry level something in the middle, and depends on the format. Like 35 on a flatbed is a really, really complicated and getting good results because it like flats. And let's say something, the film holders from Epson are the worst thing ever. I feel like whoever works at Epson never scan film with their scanners. Like there has to be some other way to make these holders. They're really bad. Let's see. I just started developing my own film. I used the Ilford 3. The photos came out super grainy and grayish. Would you recommend a developer for black and white film? I'm super new to film. First of all, it depends on the film and how you develop. I've never used Ilford. I use Kodak HC110. Doesn't mean it's the best, but I use it. Works really well. Most times the grain is from metering wrong, or your light meter could be wrong on your camera, so try using some sort of way. Even the phone light meters work sometimes well, even for Android or iOS or Apple devices, or Sunny 16. And also it has a lot to do with how you invert. Also, don't use expired film because it usually has a bit of that halo, like the fog on the film, and that turns into the grayish. And also, film photography, when you scan, is meant to be retouched. I'm sorry to say this, guys, but you have to do a little bit of adding contrast and stuff. If you have a very grayish image, just throw it onto Lightroom or your phone editor and balance out black and white point and have a bit of contrast. You might be surprised that your grayish images actually look much better. And that's what I do with my black and white. I scan it, it looks like a mushy mess, and then boop, I turn up and down, and suddenly it looks much better. Which is what I do in the Darkroom too. The Pentax 645-35 is considered better than the Hasselblad 40mm. It's on my wish list. Nico Kazals. Where in Europe can I get a Pentax digital spot meter calibrated? I have not found any recommendations in Europe, Germany yet. I would say talk to maybe Hayland Electronics in Germany. He might be able to tell you who. Hayland is, his name is Jürgen. He's extremely nice and a very patient person. I would consider him a friend. I actually met him at Photokina 2016 or 16 or 18, not sure right now. And A16, and we had dinner together and everything, treated to dinner. And he's an extremely nice person. Ask him. So go to Heyland Electronics and write him an email. Say you have a digital spot meter from Pentax and you want to know how to calibrate it or who could. He might give you an idea of who could do it. Pentax Konica, if you buy Canon M50, if you die Pentax. I don't know what this is supposed to be. Xbox Club of School. Sorry, don't understand your message. Maybe he's answering when I speak. Nico Gonzalez, how about the Kodak 645-35? Not sure which. I have 45 Pentax, need wider. No idea on that one. What about the color rendition and depth of using a dedicated film scanner compared to scanning via digital camera? The process and tech itself is quite different, so I wonder. Yeah, this is something that happens to me. When I scan with my Frontier, which is over there, and I've looked at the files, it does feel quite organic in the way it renders the tones, but also probably has to do with the film you're shooting and how you scan it. But like with a digital camera, I've had pretty good results too. So I have both systems, but I don't really master any of them. If not, I would do a great comparison between the Frontier and scanning with a digital camera. Maybe I'll try to see if a lab can scan some negatives like really well and then get someone that really knows how to scan with a digital camera and do the same negatives and compare results with like super macros and stuff like that. If you guys would want to see something like that, I'd be happy to make it. It's going to take a little bit of logistics, but I can do it. And that's what I have Patreon for. You guys help me out, do those kind of things. Epson scanner, 35mm holder works okay if you use a piece of anti-Newton glass. That's for sure. Instead of the plastic stuff they give you. That said, I much prefer the lomography holder. Much better. Yeah, I've never gotten to use the lomography Digitiza holders, but I guess once you put your film in there and you're scanning, should work okay. Can we have a tour of your studio? I'm pretty curious. Yeah, you can have a tour of my studio, just not right now because I'm alone and I can't really selfie with a camera, but I'll make a little studio tour. Right now we're in my fake set, and it's fake because basically this is not really a wall. There's a wall behind this wall, just in direct contact. And then there's the fake kitchen to my left, which I don't know if it's showing as the left. Then we have my Frontier scanner down here because it's too heavy to take upstairs. Have some shelves up there. The lights are just in front, cameras here, and upstairs my darkroom and scanning area, except for the Frontier, and where I also iron my prints and so on. And I'm setting up a second little space upstairs for a new series I want to start at some point. I just need to find a couple little extra bits secondhand. But I'll see if I can do a tour of my studio. And I'm going to be building a whole new studio soon, so that is going to be very interesting. And that I do plan to document the whole setup, finding, making, kind of like studio vlogging. And I'm sure a lot of people won't be interested, but I think it's cool. The thing is, I have to have a space where I can print, I can scan, I can finish my pictures, and I can record video. So that's the whole thing I'm looking for. Then we have, what is the best film holder for a flatbed scanner? Every time I read best, this is so hard. Which one's the best? I just put my negatives on top of the flatbed. And I get Newton rings every now and then, but you look on Instagram and nobody really notices. So I can't say which one's the best. I think, yeah, the Epson one, they come for wet mounting is pretty good if you want to use that. John says, I have used the Digitaliza 35120 and couldn't wait for used negative supply, never going back. Yeah, I quite enjoy the negative supply. I haven't used the lomography versions. I have the Epson 600. When I scan my photos, how do I save the file JPEG? Usually on your settings on the Epson software, there's the last tab is where you want your file to go, and you can choose between TIFF, JPEG, and so on. I would recommend, Kevin, you were saying you're quite new to film. There's quite a couple good videos. I think Willem has one on the V600 and how he does his workflow. Maybe there you can see it. And if not, let me know and I'll make you a little video or something where I can show you how it works. I have no problem with that. Harold says, about tones and color in scanners versus camera. From my experience, it is most about scanners do a lot of post-processing, so making a profile for your camera scans to apply in post is important. I'll listen to Harold. He knows more than I do about this stuff. Anthony says, bye. Enjoy the evening live stream. Bye, Anthony. Thanks for joining. Philip, we have starting to matte negatives, but need a pin register and densitometer. Where's the best place in Europe to find these? Great Q&A. Philip, talk to also Hayland Electronics. He makes the densitometers and he makes the pin register machine. He's made a couple for Anton from St. Petersburg, Russia, and I know he makes this. So ask him, he has them. They're not extremely cheap, but they're extremely well made. And the densitometer, just the normal one, is good enough. And I think it's like 500 euros. And then the pin register, I'm not sure what the pricing is, but I know he's made it available recently. I really enjoyed the making of your darkroom a few years ago. Yeah, the making of my darkroom, I really never did the video. I have all the pictures on Flickr. So if you guys look me up as Nicolas Yaseda, with double L-A-S-E, let me just write it. If you look me up on Flickr, there's a whole album on that. If Flickr hasn't erased my pictures, which is threatening all the time. I had the Pro and then I just forgot to upgrade again. Nico, I'm doing comparing my scans to a Pro Lab. Nice. You should do that, Harold, and I want to see that. Then we said, I made a panorama 135 adapter for my Mamiya 7 with a 3D part printed. Except for the take-up spool I already had since it was randomly in the box 10 years ago. There have been a few questions of whether I can finish and sell a full set. Figuring out the spool take-up spool will require more tinkering, but I had no more idea of the effort. I would just use a roll of film. Like, this is already a great way to take up spool. Like, just feed it. You tape it, and it goes out of one canister into another one, I think. Have you crafted your own lenses? No, but I do have a handcrafted lens that I should do a review, and thank you for reminding me. It's called the $1 lens, and it's made by Eric Mathy, M-A-T-H-Y, and basically there. You can check it out. You think there'll be ever a market for that? For panoramic adapters, for sure. I think there's a market. I mean, to sell plenty of them, I don't know. But to have something 3D printed and sell a couple, yeah, for sure. Will we ever get a full camera collection tour? I feel like you'd have the best one on YouTube for sure. Yes, I probably do have the best one on YouTube for sure. And that's probably the reason I haven't shown it. I feel like showing what you own sounds pretentious. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to show people, oh, look at all my cameras. Like, there's nothing I dislike more than my photo camera collection videos. Like, it's like, okay, like you have all that cameras, or you have these cameras, like, I want to see what you do with them, and I want to see the images. And I'm the worst at showing the images too, but like, I don't know. If you guys really want to see that, maybe I'll do it. I'm going to be moving, so I'm going to have to put it all together and set it up. But yeah, I own way too much gear. When are you live on YouTube? Why am I live on YouTube? I'm on YouTube because this is a video to show people what will be coming onto Patreon starting December. So I'm doing live streams, and then I'm doing like projects, artists, videos for higher tires. And this is just a tester. You know how they say the first dose should be free? Well, this first dose is free. My cousin, an image scientist, says friends don't let friends use lossy compression for images or anything else. Save in TIFF or J2000 format for scanning. Avoid JPEG. Save for quick proofs. Yeah, I use JPEGs when I just want to do like for a quick video. Kevin says, thank you so much. Yeah, Kevin, really, if you need help, just reach out and I'll help you out. That message something. I meant up for comparing my scans with the Pro Labs. If you want to send me some negatives like you talked about. Oh, Arald's up to comparing. Okay, we'll do something. Let's do an Arald. Maybe when you send me the Valoy thing, when I send it back, I'll send some negatives and you can try that. The reason a normal spool won't work is that the adapter one has a release mechanism without which you can actually rewind the film back. Oh, okay. That's interesting. No idea about that one. What's in my big bag? Of course we want to see it. Yeah. Yeah. People want to see the gear. Maybe I will. Maybe I have to do them. Maybe I'll have to separate them into like what's in my gear 35, what's in my gear medium format, and what's in my gear large format. And what's in my gear scanners. Maybe something like that. But it feels like a big flex but okay kind of moment. Then not sure I'm into that. If we can't get a full collection, yes, do what's in my daily bag. Yeah, I'll do like something like that. I've done one on the travel wide when I used it. But my daily bag changes a lot. There's only one camera that always remains pretty much in the core center, and that's the Leica M2 with a 35. That I carry everywhere. I'm even considering buying a new MP if I can at some point, and just having that as my only camera for walking around all the time. But the price is hard to accept when the M2 is just as good, or if not better, in my opinion. That's a very personal opinion. But yeah, guys, we have 20 more minutes for these 2 hours that I wanted to go for. Like I said, this is basically a live stream that will be under Patreon future months. It's basically on the description of Patreon, but the $5 and up will get a live stream Q&A, and the rest will get the whole Discord chat rooms and different things and experience talking one-on-one daily. And I answer pretty much every day to everything. So that's basically what I would do there if you go on Patreon and want to support the show. So it supports me making more videos, but I want to give back to you guys. MP, I thought you said no MP on a video. Yeah, the video was basically why I did not like the MP and why I returned it. Doesn't mean that I wouldn't love to own one at some point. But as I said, it's hard to justify when I really like my M2 and it does what I want. But I do really, really, really like the black look of the MP. And someone told me, who cares about the color? Just take pictures. It's true. But, you know, these cameras also have a nice appeal to them of different colors, shapes, and forms. So a black one is nice. But yeah, justifying 4,000 euros or dollars for a camera just because you want black is really hard for me. And I own a couple M2s, so why would I take that and sell something else on top to be able to have one camera? Said, are Hasselblad film cameras the best for medium format? Again, the best. I don't like saying best. The Hasselblad cameras are really good cameras. They have really good glass. The Carl Zeiss glass is really, really nice and renders amazingly. The best medium format cameras is whatever is best for you. I know people that think the Pentax are the best. I know people that, or the Pentax 6x7 I have here. I think people love the Mamiyas and think they're the best. Which one is the best depends on your use, depends on what you like to shoot, how you like to shoot. My best choice, my favorite camera of choice for medium format is the RZ67. Doesn't mean it's the best for you or for someone else. I love Hasselblads too, but I'm not a huge square guy, so not really the square guy. But yeah, basically that. So let's see. Not without qualifications. What do you shoot? I don't know what that one is. Now we have the Contax 35 is Zeiss Distagon, so expected to be fairly comparable to the Zeiss 40mm on Hasselblad. The MP, didn't you make a video about saying no to the M? Yeah, I did make a video. Like, first of all, don't believe everything I say, because I'm a huge, like, I'll say no to something, and then by making the video, I start getting lust for that thing, and then later down the road, I end up with it. So I'm the worst example to listen. Like, don't listen to my advice, like, to the dot. You know what I mean? Like, if I had the money to buy a Leica MP like it was an M2, I probably would own it. But for now, no. But I do lust for it. It's lust, basically. It's gas, no? That's what we all call it. You really just want what you don't have. Also, if you don't want a square shot, then definitely not. If you don't want. I don't know what that part was. Hey, Felix has become a member of the Nicosphotographyshow gang. So thank you, Felix. Just loaded Delta 3200 on the white Jobo 120 reels for the first time, and I hated it. Isn't it super thin, Nico? I think it is super thin. That happened to me with Santa Rye film. Is like extremely thin. Extremely thin. Back to Patterson Casals. Andreas, I got the RZ a year ago to have more control over exact composition compared to the Mamiya 7. By now I switched to a Bronica GS1. I love the GS1, much lighter and a bit more compact. Yeah, I have the GS1 somewhere there. The GS1 is really compact to be a 6x7, but the good thing, the thing is, it's a 6x7. The RZ is a 7x7. That's why it rotates. So that's why it's so bulky. Like the back has to be able to do 7 and 7 on both sides. But the Bronica is really an underrated camera that it usually sells pretty cheaply. It does have a couple quirks, like the minimum focusing is really annoying to me. And the fact that sometimes it's hard to find certain things. And then the wide angle lenses are really big. Like the 50 millimeters has like a 105 or a 95 millimeter front screw-on filter. So if you want to use filters, it's basically expensive or a no-no. But yeah, the Bronica GS1 is really nice. I bought mine for very, very little. And if you want to shoot vertical, you need the pentaprism. If not, you're screwed, because the waist level finder, when you want to go vertical on a Bronica, this is not a Bronica, guys, I do know, you have to shoot like this, and composing like this is really hard, not really easy. But with the pentaprism, it's really nice. And I have the pentaprism with the AE metering, which is really, really nice. Very underrated and so much more affordable. Exactly. I have the 3 lens 50, 65, and newly acquired 200 mil. Yeah, the 200 mil is cheap, cheap, cheap. I have the 100 3.5 and I have the 150, I think, F4 probably. Ruggiero says, oh man, you have almost everything. Yes, I do have a lot of things. Way too many things. I've been teaching. Okay, one of the reasons I have a lot of gear is I've been teaching film here locally, and I always wanted to give the full hands-on experience. So my idea was people would come to workshops, just nothing with them, just plain walking in with no camera, no film. And here they would have the whole experience. They could choose any sort of camera, brand, lens, anything. Any kind of film, emulsion, color, black and white, Polaroids, whatever. They could develop it however they wanted. They could scan it however they wanted. And that's why I have multiple of everything. So I have like 6 or 7 4x5 cameras. I have 2 or 3 8x10s. I think I actually have 3 technically. And stuff like that. So like the idea was to give people, like I have sets of 4x5s where each person could have a wide, a normal, and a long lens. Everyone. And then tripods and loops and dark cloths and everything and multiples. That never worked out to be the utopia I wanted, and I just stayed being like Donald, what is it, Donald Doug? What was it, the guy that was rich, the uncle? I feel like I just swim in gear. But yeah, too much stuff. Which digital back would you recommend for the Hasselblad 303 CX? I think the later ones, Felix, are probably the best options. They just came out with a new one. It's probably not cheap, but probably is the best option. The previous ones have the battery coming out of the bottom, which makes them annoying to like place on a table and stuff like that. But they're either the CFV, the previous versions, or the last one is the one I would recommend. Older than that, probably going to be more of a pain, a hassle of like firewire cables and like old memory cards and readers and stuff. So if you can afford it, I would say either the last version, which Hasselblad has come down in price quite a bit in the digital realm. I think Fuji and Pentax have kind of put Hasselblad at a lower price point, thankfully. Did I hear you say moving? Yeah, I am moving. Well, you must have too many cameras to move with you. No doubt we can help. Yeah, I might be selling cameras, that's for sure. When I move, I will probably have to get rid of gear, mostly for the reason of moving it than anything else, and that I don't really need it. The RB and RZ even do 6x8, if I remember correctly. I know the RB has a 6x8 motor back. I don't know if you can adapt it to the RZ. I've never seen that combo, and I've never owned that combo. Yep, using the Prism, don't have the waist level finder. That's for the Bronica. As the Bronica doesn't rotate, you have to rotate by hand the whole camera. I've always wanted to buy an RZ Pro 2, but I kind of got intrigued by 4x5 cameras. Would it be feasible to get one with lens and all for 1K range? I'm also kind of scared by the weight usability. I mean, 4x5 and RZ is like totally different spectrums of use. Like the RZ, you can use it to shoot portraits quite fast and landscape quite fast. And, you know, it's kind of like a medium format camera in the studio quite fast, etc. The 4x5, yes, you can get a whole kit for under $1,000. You can get a secondhand camera for 500 to 600 euros, for example. And you're putting euros, so I'm guessing European. You can get a lens for 200, 250, a couple film holders, tripod, blah, blah, blah. You can probably get there around the 1K range. But it is more cumbersome to shoot and compose and stuff. If you really have the patience and the stuff you're going to be shooting, you can take your time. I think both are good options. If you need something a little faster, then move away from 4x5. It feels like the Jobo white reels don't have the teeth to spool the film forward. No, what happens with the Jobo white reels, they're smaller. And as they're smaller and they still have to put all that film, the curvature is more closed and it's harder to spool. So to me, on the 295 series of spools, it's bigger, so the film is not so curled. It's easier to load than the 1500 series. Thanks for all the content, Emil. Thank you guys for watching. What do you think about the Fuji GW690 series? There's a couple things I've said previously in the live stream, but I'll answer. They're great cameras. They're lightweight. They're really, really sharp lenses. Fuji makes some of the sharpest and nicest glass out there for medium format and large format. The only main problem is that you can't change lenses. That's a problem for you. And that they are a little bulky because they're a little bulky. Everything else, they're pretty amazing cameras. I really, really like them. Okay, let's see. By the way, Nico, I had a custom focusing glass made for the GS1 by Rick Olison. Oh, nice. I have requires a custom grid, which is better suited for architectural photography and was no problem. It has a split focusing screen with, oh man. I really want that. Andreas, if you can send me information on how to talk to him, I would really want to have something like that. Not only for the Bronica, but for another camera. So please, please reach out. Instead of the comments here, just write me an email or something through my website or something like that. Because I could really do with that. So yeah, guys, 5 more minutes of live stream. As I said, these live streams will move to Patreon moving forward. Hopefully you guys feel like going there and supporting the channel. My idea is not to put everything behind a paywall. So I think a Q&A is not too harmful to take away from the normal YouTube. Everything else we be open as usual, but I think, you know, a way for me to give more to you guys and you guys maybe want to help could be, you know, the tipping point could be doing the Q&A over there. But yeah, we got a couple more minutes. So thank you everyone for watching. Really, it means a lot. I know it's not easy nowadays for anyone to support anything economically, but if you can, it's very grateful. I'm very grateful for that. Actually is making me decide to move my career into only photography. And that's when people were saying, oh, I heard you're moving. Yes, I will be moving. I'm going to be leaving my job and working full-time photography in the film world. It sounds funny when I'm talking a digital camera. But yeah, talking about film cameras and developing and darkroom and comparing gear and all that. So I'm going to be moving towards that in a very short time. And that's thanks to you guys watching, subscribing, commenting, Patreons, YouTube, whatever donations. You guys are the ones that are making me be able to do that. So thank you so much for that. I know there's probably better creators, different creators, but my main goal through YouTube's help people and spread, the community and the film photography. And that's what I'm trying to do, my best. Someone says here, 77 people after 2 hours, not bad. A lot better than my university classes. Someone says thank you, so thank you guys. Tell us about your woodworking carpentry practice. I work in a factory making basically industrial wood boards right now for wine boxes. So I get into work at 6 in the morning and I basically I'm the guy that manages the whole production, loads trucks, unloads trucks, blah, 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 sanding machines. So it's a small company. We're like 15 people and I managed all that. And that's what I do during the day. From 6 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon, sometimes a little longer. That's what I do. That's where my news studio is. So if you've never seen my news studio in this one, is because that's at work on top of the office. I just built myself a little news. So I'll be doing that very soon, moving away from that. John says, buena suerte. He's saying it's not easy to do what you love. It is. It's true. I never would have expected that I could make a living off talking about film photography in 2020. And I started because I was going to lose my job 5 years ago. So I'm very grateful. And I want to do a special about 5 years. I still want to. So let's see if I put that on on the top of my to-do list soon enough. So yeah, guys, a couple more minutes and we're done. Does the RB have flash like the Pentax? Heck of a flash. This is a big flash that I found somewhere. Yeah, the RZ and RB have a hot shoe on the side. So you could actually mount the flash on the side like that. You can also mount like a trigger, like a wireless trigger, but it has a hot shoe on the camera, same as the Pentax. How is it you're so fluent in English, by the way? My mom is British, so I was born in Spain, raised in Spain, lived in Spain, worked in Spain, but my mom is British. And I met my wife 12 years ago, and she's from the USA, so Florida. So we kept the English throughout our relationship, and English is what I speak at home and what I speak on YouTube, so that's why I'm fluent. And then I don't have... Oh, someone said here, Cole asked you about your favorite photographers that are alive. Okay, sorry that I forgot to answer that one. Nicholas Nixon is one of my favorite. The whole new topographics group I really like. Go search the new topographics. That was a whole movement that happened after the landscape photographic, like landscape stuff. And, landscape, kind of like Ansel Adams movement. It came in and they were doing more architectural stuff and like that whole movement I really, really like. I really like Elliot Erwitt. I like Winogrand. A couple of street photographers I really enjoy are those. I've seen the series of Women Are Beautiful in Miami from Winogrand. It's in a hotel. I can't remember the name right now, but it's there. You can just look at it. I don't know if they're the real originals, but they're just there. Like you could grab it and walk away, which probably shouldn't do. But those I really, really enjoy. And then there's a couple, I do like Sally Mann. Her series of 8x10 is just mind-blowing. I really like Steven DiRado, who's a guy that's mostly posting on Facebook groups. Has an amazing body of work. He's got some shopping mall shots on 4x5 in like the 90s that are mind-blowing. Yeah, quite a lot of stuff. Mostly large format people. I quite like large format stuff, if I had to say. But yeah, guys, it's going to be 2 exact hours in a minute. So I think that's a good time to call it the end of this. So yeah, as I said, this will move on to Patreon starting December. Will be my last live stream for now on YouTube openly. I'm sorry for that, guys, but it's a way I think I can give you guys more and you guys can feel like giving me some more too, which I appreciate. But But if you just want to subscribe and watch, it's always welcome. So yeah, guys, thank you so much. I'll see you on Patreon. I'll see you on the news. I'll see you very soon on my usual videos. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye, and good night for the ones that are in the nighttime.